Hello, I'm Jason. Welcome to Epic Upcycling. I've decided to make a workshop tour video. It's something I've been asked for so many times, and now is an ideal opportunity. And one of the main reasons for that is that a couple of weeks ago, while filming the latest project video, I had an accident. And that accident has left me with this. I won't go into details, it's not that interesting. And don't worry, it's not as bad as it looks. But as you can imagine, I'm not going to be woodworking for a few weeks at least. Although I can probably take up table tennis without having to buy a bat. So I thought, ideal opportunity to go and tour the workshop, talk about the machinery, the different things I've made in there. So let's go look around the workshop. It's that way.
Okay, welcome to the workshop. If you've been following this channel from the beginning, you'll know this space has changed an awful lot in the past 5 years. I don't think there's much in here that's in the same place it was all those years ago. It's about 6 metres by 9 metres, not a bad space. It's my garage, and it's built onto the side of the house, which is really handy because being from Yorkshire I need an almost constant supply of tea or I stop functioning. I've had a lot of fun building and designing everything in here, but it's far from finished. A lot of things I still like to make. Got a whole bench along there that really needs replacing with something a lot more suitable. One question I get asked an awful lot is how many drawers are there in here, and the answer to that is 352. Although that number, every time I count it, seems to change. Another question I get asked a lot is, have you not got enough drawers? And the answer to that is no. I will definitely be making more. This is the first piece of storage equipment I built for the workshop. Quite a lot of years ago, before I started the channel, so there's never been a video on this one. 44 drawer cabinet, made of pallets, all sorts of stuff in there. My storage system is pretty chaotic and would drive most people nuts, I think. There's quite a lot of different things in here. Brass screws in there, hinges, hose clips, the bottom was originally going to be drawers as well, but I decided to just turn it into shelving, ideal for storing all the weights I use for weighing wood down while it's gluing together. There's the tool rack I built last year. This was a lot of fun to build. And it's been absolutely wonderful having all my tools in one place where I can now finally find them all, because they used to be just spread out everywhere. I've been collecting planes for quite a while now, and I use probably half of them quite regularly. The number 4 was the first one I bought. It's the first one a lot of people buy. I got that when I was 21, so not very long ago. Don't use the 3 very often. 4.5, great as a scrub plane. Take off a lot of material really quickly, nice and heavy. Don't use the 5 much either, a bit like the 3. 5.5, really good on the shooting board. Another nice heavy plane, works really well on that. Probably use the 6 as much as I use the 4. That's a really nice heavy plane, great for jaunting. And a big old 7, that doesn't get used a lot. I don't do the type of work that really requires that. Now and again, but that usually stays there. My favourite by far has to be this, the Stanley number 55. Absolutely insane looking piece of equipment. A nightmare to set up.
They're absolutely wonderful to use when you get it right, very rewarding, and you can do an amazing amount of things with it.
And in here is all the blades for it. Up there are all my moulding planes. These are really easy to get hold of. Nobody seems to want them anymore, so they pretty much get them given. I use them quite a lot. They're very handy because they don't take a lot of setting up once you've got them working right. All of the moulding around the top of the cabinet was done with just 2 of them. Up there I've got a compass plane, a Stanley compass plane. I've not used that yet, that was a gift from my wife last Christmas. I'm going to have to come up with a project I can use that on. Wonderful bit of kit. Don't be fooled by all the cobwebs up there. We have a lot of spiders here, and if I clear all those cobwebs off, they'll be back in about 3 days.
These are quite uncommon now, so if you're wondering what on earth it is and how it works, it's a curved plane that you can adjust the curvature of the sole plate, either inside or out, allowing you to plane fairly large curved pieces.
Other tools you'll see me using an awful lot of in the videos, the Japanese saws, which I've really got used to using. I don't think they're any better than Western saws, they just work in a completely different way. Over here I've got my hammers. You might remember me making that one, the carved mallet out of pallet. And down here, probably my most used tool, that little hammer. That's the first tool I ever bought. I got that when I was 16 and it broke quite early on. I seem to remember doing this a long time ago. Put some wire on it and then just taped it up, and it's worked fine ever since. I have thought about putting a new shaft on it, but I just like it how it is. Up there I've got my little Yankee screwdriver. You've seen me use that in a few videos. Great little tool. With small screws you can almost keep up with a battery drill with that. And it doesn't need recharging. Down here I've got my diamond hones, coarse medium, super fine. They're DMT ones from America. Probably cost more than my chisels, but they're really worth it. After sharpening on them I tend to finish off on a piece of leather I keep in there. With the diamond plates I use that, a Veritas honing guide. Handy tool if you're not really very good at getting the correct angle on a chisel. It's a skill I haven't really developed. The chisels I use most often, quite a lot of carving ones. Ones in the middle there, 2 cherries from Germany. I've got some of the older record marples ones that were actually made in the UK. They're now made by Airwin Marples. I think they're made abroad now. So here's the nut and bolt cabinet I built a short while ago. I wanted somewhere that I could put all of my nuts and bolts in one place, easy to find, and all the tools related to nuts and bolts. I'm still filling this, it's only about half full at the moment. A long time ago now I built a 100 drawer cabinet. That's pretty much full now. Got all my wood screws in it, and then all sorts of other weird and wonderful things. Circlips, split pins, roll pins, copper washers, brass odd things, I don't even know what they are, shelf supports, you name it. It's full, so I'm going to have to build another one. On the end there I've got an adze that my dad bought me a few years ago. I'm just looking for a project big enough to make use of that. I've put a good edge on it so it's all ready to go when I find the right piece of material. Down here I've got a simple little linisher and polisher. Quite a handy little tool. I won't mind a bit bigger one at some point, that does the job. Some more material, bit of material stores down there, all pipe and tubing. Some more metal drawer. I don't count them in the total drawer amount because I didn't make them. Here I've got my pillar drill. I've had that about 20 years. It was second hand when I got it. One handy addition is the XY vice on it. Means you can use it as a milling machine. Although it does restrict the height quite a lot. Still good for sheet materials, things like that. Good old Record Engineers vice there. Big hefty thing. That was a gift from my brother on my birthday a couple of years ago. And it just turned up out of the blue. I didn't know what on earth had arrived. Got my little Clark welder down there. I use that from time to time. I'm not very good with it, but I can make pieces of metal not come apart. I think welders like me are why they invented angle grinders. There's my engineer's tool chest. I built that quite a few years ago now. It's still got all my engineering tools in it. Next to it there's my artist chest. It's got all different paints and things in it, and also my airbrushes. I used to do a lot of airbrush art. Something I don't do so much now. Over here I've got my lathe. That's a Warco, just the right size for this sort of workshop. I do a lot of things like handles and bits and pieces on that, and I've even done some woodwork stuff on it. And over the top of it there's the workshop hutch that I built out of bedroom furniture. I think there might be a bit of pallet in there as well. It's got a mixture of tools and some metalwork as well, brackets, things like that. And I've got some metalworking supplies up there as well. Up there on the shelf I've just got a couple of daft little things the kids have made. Just faces made out of screws and nails. The one on the left was made by one of my sons many years ago, and the one on the right was made by his son not very long ago. So they take pride of place in the workshop. I made this set of drawers especially for lathe tools. I wanted something that sat above the lathe. I could pull the drawers out, they drop down, and I can see exactly what's in there. It's a very simple mechanism. There is a video of me making it if you're interested in how it works. I'll add a link to that in the description to this video. The wall at the end there's a bit of a mess at the moment. I'd like to do something a bit different with it. Get all my clamps sorted out and maybe make it look a bit nicer. Buried away down there I've got a fairly big Air Master compressor. Don't really use that a lot now. That's mainly used for pumping the tyres up on the car. I get asked more questions about this bench than anything else in the workshop. What is the surface made of and why does nothing stick to it? Well, the surface is this green flooring chipboard. Quite common here in the UK, it's pretty cheap, easy to come by. That's just varnish with outdoor waterproof varnish. And then the real secret is this stuff. Candle wax. That's just an old candle.
I rub it down every 2 or 3 weeks and nothing sticks to it. That's the secret.
So the latest addition to the workshop is of course the phone box. And why did I build the phone box? Just to turn it into a tool cupboard? Well, why not? I've always wanted to own one, and it's far too big to go anywhere in the house, and I wouldn't have wanted to put it in the garden. So it made sense to just put it in the workshop. I spend more time in here than anywhere else in the house, so why not have it where I can see it every day? And I just use this space for keeping all my power tools together. And some of you might be surprised to know I do own a couple of air nailers, although they get rarely used. Great if you're building a fence or a shed or something, but I'm quite happy to do things by hand. Here's my record power 10-inch table saw. It's about 20 years old, that machine, although I've only owned it about half that time. It's been a good solid machine. It's just the right size for a workshop like this, although it does struggle with thicker material. I'm probably going to look at upgrading it to something with a more powerful motor in the next year or so. Slotted away down here is my homemade drafting table. It's made from loads of old junk, mainly 2x4s, and a load of 2-inch thick MDF scraps that came from a factory that made beds. The top lifts up. It uses a 1/2-inch DeWalt router, and that's where I keep all the router bits. And the top surface is just a sheet of 3mm thick aluminium. Another record tool, the PT260 planer thicknesser. I use this a lot in my videos. It's currently set up as a thicknesser, but you can use this as a planer jointer as well by adding another bed onto the top. I don't use it like that very often. I mainly just use this for thicknessing. I do get asked a lot if I do a lot of damage to my planer blades running pallet wood through, and yes I do. No matter what you do with pallet wood, it wrecks planer blades. Even if you manage to get all the nails and metalwork out, there'll always be some grit or something in there that will really damage blades. And the way I get around that is I just use really cheap disposable blades, and they last quite a long time, but the finish isn't brilliant. That doesn't matter though to me, because I sand everything anyway. I'm not really too bothered how the finish comes out. It's just there, really just a thickness material. I do have a separate set of really good blades that I keep just for good material if I really need to have a nice finish on it. There's my bandsaw, another record machine, the Sabre 350. If I could only have one tool in the workshop, it would be a bandsaw, with a good selection of hand tools and the time to use them. With a bandsaw you can tackle most projects. A fairly recent addition to the workshop is the Axminster dust extractor. It's quite a hefty piece of kit. It'll move nearly 1500 cubic metres of air an hour. It's ideal for using with a planer. I would like to have it connected up to the table saw as well, but the connection on the dust extraction system on the table saw is not very good at all. I need to come up with a better way of connecting it to that. Up on the roof there I've got an Axminster air filter that I usually run after I've been doing a lot of sanding, or if I've been using the table saw quite a bit. Just filters the air, makes it a bit cleaner. And over here I've got my Laguna 16-inch Supermax drum sander. I don't use this a huge amount, but it's very handy if I just need to get the thickness of some material down really thin. It's also really good if I need to do it late on a night, because the thing's almost silent from outside, so it doesn't bother anybody whenever I use it. just stood up here. I've got a rather nice collection of hardwoods. I often get asked, where do I get materials from? And I get things given to me from all over the place. But this is actually part of what was once a much bigger hoard that my father got hold of many years ago. And it was from a company that imported hardwoods. And they used these pieces as test pieces to test moisture content while they were storing and drying the woods out. And when they'd finished using them as test pieces, they all went in the skip. And unbelievable to think this lot was thrown away. Over the years, this has been shared out and spread around across various people. This is the remnants of it, really, of what was a huge amount of stock that was just destined for landfill. And just over here in the corner, another shelving rack full of bits and pieces. A good excuse to make another drawer unit, I think. I've got quite a nice collection of files that I don't currently have a good home for, so I'll be building some sort of rack for them at some point. So through here is the main wood store. A lot of different types of things in here, a lot of different woods, door frames, bits of furniture. It's amazing what people will bring you when they work out that your house is closer than the tip. An awful lot of pallet wood. I try to store the pallet wood for as long as possible before I use it. Some of the stuff in here has probably been in here well over 2 years. In some of the videos I know I do take the pallets to bits and use the material straight away, but when I can, I will store it for as long as possible. Quite a bit of sheet material there. Another load of stuff I haven't really sorted yet, just piled up there. Over here I've got my old DeWalt radial arm saw. I don't tend to use this much nowadays. I usually use the sled on the table saw. It's still good if you've got something quite big to cut. Next to it, a bit newer, DeWalt crosscut saw. It's another tool I don't really use a lot of now, but it's handy for some miter cuts, especially compound ones. The heart of the workshop, my workbench. I built that out of 2 very heavy fire doors sandwiched together, and they're on a frame of 2x9 flooring joist offcuts and 4-inch fence posts. It's incredibly heavy. I don't even attempt to try and lift it. It's really solid and it's a wonderful bench to work on. The top is just made of pallet wood, and I didn't expect it to last as long as it has, but it's worked out really well. And if you've ever wondered what the back of it looks like, there it is. I just keep all my different finishes, glues, resins, that sort of thing down there. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this little workshop tour. It's been a lot of fun being able to show you a little bit of behind the scenes. If you enjoy the videos where I just shut up and make things, don't worry, I will be going back to doing that. I've no intention of changing the format. I will put links in the description to all the different videos of the things that were made in here that you've seen today, all the different cabinets and drawers and so on. I'll also be doing a compilation video of shorter versions of each of them that will be combined into one big video, a feature length workshop build, which should show the workshop coming together over the past few years. I also want to say a really big thank you to everybody who has commented and liked and subscribed to the channel. All your comments are wonderful and it's really helped to make this channel as big as it is. I still can't believe just how much it's grown over the years. Well, I think all that's left to say is thanks very much for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one. Hopefully it won't be too long. Bye for now.